and welcome everyone to the Poetry Showcase for 2022. We have 6 poets here today, a mix of spoken word and page poetry, and everyone's going to read for about 5 to 10 minutes. Yes. So I thought I'd just open up today's readings with a poem of my own that I read here at the Edinburgh Multicultural Festival back in 2020 when it was an entirely online programme. And this event today is being recorded and it'll be released at a later date on the Edinburgh Multicultural Festival YouTube channel. Yes, so I'll just start with my poem. When you called out my name, because of you, I twist my cauliflower in turmeric. Because of you and your declarative love of fat aubergines steeped in miso, for slowly fried tofu, crisp, shining chilies. I coat every white nook until it's bright brown. Brown women taught me how to love myself by loving. When you called out my name in the street last week, it sounded like depth, like roots stirring, like a summoning within myself. From the kitchen, I look out at the bare trees, and there, perched alone, is a brown-breasted sparrowhawk, held completely in the branches, like she never had to arrive. I think of the newly full tree, the striking fullness of your heart naming mine. Thank you. And it's my absolute joy to welcome our first poet to the stage tonight. Nasim Rebecca Asl is a Glasgow-based poet and journalist. She's been published widely, including in Inga Magazine, Modern Poetry and Translation, and Poetry Wales. She was awarded a Scottish Book Trust New Writers Award in 2021 and was shortlisted for the Edwin Morgan Poetry Award this year and has performed at the Fringe Festival and on the BBC. So welcome, Nasim.
Hello. Okay, there we go. So I've got a few poems, a couple of wee ones and a couple of slightly longer ones for you. And the first one I'm going to do is a poem that I think kind of sums up a lot of what I try to do with poetry, which is write in English and in Persian as well. And I just thought here at the Multicultural Festival, it might be a nice way to open. So this poem is called Zaban, which is a word in Persian that means at the same time both tongue and language. Zaban. My father's language is a house I cannot enter. My teeth are strangers to my tongue. It does not sit or curl or roll as it should. I cannot enter my dandans. Kreji haunts my shadow. Zabane, padare man, curls and rolls like birdsong I cannot mimic. All my homes fall from my lips, haunt my saye. I don't know my father's language. Nemi dunam, I say to aunts, cousins, uncles. I mime all my khanes. Falling from my lips, mota hesefam. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Nemi dunam. I mime to Amu's, Ame's cousins with clenched dasts. My family sip chai on a scarlet carpet they wove without me. Mota hesefam. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Baba, your language is a home. My zaban can't shape the key. So that was, I think, one that just, I think, sums up a lot of my relationship with the Persian language. And then this next one I'm going to do uses some Persian as well, but it's slightly more fun. And this is based on an actual message that I got on an online dating app from somebody in July 2018. So I'll kind of like do this so you know what the message is. But yeah, it's just a fun poem and it's called #datingwhilebrown. Swipe right, left, chap, rast. In a corner of my screen, one message glares red. My thumb flicks, lazy, taps the beacon. Alarm emojis ring in my head. A strange man said, sells himself to ethnically ambiguous girl. I once ate Bombay mix at Anissa's. It's 1:04 p.m. Maybe he has Gazar on the brain, racked his mind to find the ingredients of my DNA. I blink. The scorpion wrapped around my heart stings my left chest, tail thrashing against my skull. In rage, breathe in, out. Be, kharej. I unleash my fingers. Let my hands paint pixel symphonies to explain away my brown. I want to tell him that dulled bloodlines wrap around the caduceus of my body, but these veins are not Mahar at war. I want to tell him I am Sigmore, copper feathers streaming from my scalp. I want to tell him that he's picked the wrong region, that my people are herby. I stew, you stew, they stew, pots of sabzi, and I taste my heritage with an English tongue. I want to tell him that I've not visited Nisa since I ran out of mixer at a Memooneen and Old Friend's flat. And I think I bought some Walker's Sensations, along with the own brand lemonade, but I definitely paid in pounds. I don't think they accept the rials that I don't know how to count. I want to tell him I hung the flag of Iran above my hi-fi when I was 12, right next to my Ms. Magazine Nick Jonas shrine. I want to tell him that Efson burned in my yellow bedroom, the smoke curling into waves. I want to tell him the vibration shook the green, white, red, Sab, Safid, Qamez. I want to tell him that John Denver blasted from those speakers and that album is my Baba's favorite. I want to tell him I don't know my country's roads, that I've not been since 2015 and I'll be imprisoned if I ever go back. I want to tell him that in our house, my mom's Geordie Dastam make the best chai. I type, there is nothing ambiguous about my dual existence, but instead delete the message and remove him from my zendegi. So yeah, that's just quite a fun one. So if you're ever, thanks. If you're ever on Tinder in Glasgow and you see somebody called Martin, just swipe left and avoid that man. Cool. So a couple more for you. So the next one I'm going to do is kind of a little bit random, but it's quite pretty, I think, she says. And it's just a little bit different, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavour of, I don't know, just, I guess, some of the stuff that I do. And it's called Undreamt Miracles. If we could tell it back, we'd start and end with oceans unravelling into cloud, waves unspooling, funneling up to water starry saplings. Light would scatter west to east. We'd unwake, unsleep, unmeet. We'd crest a hill. And you turn to me from the driver's seat and swear you saw the spot where rainbows melt into earth. Dew would clamber up your cheeks. Your fingers would empty mine. All the wheels that hold us spinning sideways. We'd watch our truths turning down lanes we can't track on maps. We'd lie in a ravine's cracked palm to watch trees take root in space. If only our future could be so holy. Brambles would inferno at the ends of your outstretched arms, and their icy fires would turn your freckles blue. You would answer a call from an unknown number. You'd name me. I'd reach the end of the forest eventually, gentling myself with sap, whitewashing this anger into love. I'd thread dreams into your scalp, empty memories from my pockets and fold them into paper cranes for you. We'd ride lotuses down a narrowing stream, straight into the emptying sea, unweather ourselves like how the dying unlearn their words. I'd rake the fallen leaves of mulchy friendships. We'd play music in a morgue and refuse an encore. Our ancestors would write us angry emails. I'd ungift my words. We'd unmatch our parents' footprints and shape mountain ranges from the Lego of our bones. Our regrets would blossom into daisies we'd ping their heads off. Chanting nursery rhymes to God's empty cradle, cursing his reign, we'd be unafraid of each other. We'd swallow fog, unlove with grace, let our irises fade back to heart, and then we would drift and drift and drift and drift. And then the last one that I'm going to do for you guys is one that I wrote during COVID when I was thinking a lot about like death and dying, and like I was like, oh, maybe I need to write a will, so I just wrote a poem instead. That's how I deal with things. So it's called Dearly Beloved. Dearly beloved, when you are gathered here one day, accept this codicil. I hope by now my chattels will have been distributed. Oh yes, I can hear my bangles singing on your wrists. Now I wish to split my greatest gift, the miracle that is my body, my soul cage, me. Will my executor please step forward? I leave behind no bricks or mortar. I just have this, the mountain ranges of my body, swan arms, legs of willow. Inherit me. And okay, I'll let the court of protection take it from here, but know my spirit will be sitting at a theatre seat as this troop of scrubs pluck organs like bulbs from my body. Know that I'll cheer when the scalpel slices my skin and the first kidney is squelched from within. Know I'll throw roses at the sight of my secrets sitting in a row of blue boxes. Distribute them in the night, but leave my heart for last. I know, beloved, proof it exists. Now give it to a girl bound by tubes to a hospital bed. Silence the machines beeping her funeral march. Give her my encore. I will beat in her chest. Burn my residue, but leave me my eyes? I know they'll bubble and break from my face when the fire takes hold, but I am afraid of the dark. Return half my bones to my father's land so I can straddle the worlds I couldn't bridge with my flesh. I want to be scattered at the Caspian Sea, to see the sun crescent as I dissolve into oblivion. I want to be snow-sift in Tehran, to melt into Damavand's twisting streams and nurse the burning feet of babies swaddled in the shade. I want my other half to rest. My knees, my chin, my thighs. Bury what's left in the alcove where my grandparents lie. I'll mix with their memories. Ash and ash, dust sharing space. In pieces, we will spend eternity counting the stars above our heads in the town that birthed us all. Beloveds, please visit. Bring me marigolds on my birthday. Take time. Blanket my plaque in petals. Kneel. Bask in the last of my present. Wipe the rust from my lettering. Tell me about your day. I want to meet your children. And then, beloved, I will finally wane away. Thank you.
Our second poet to the stage, Lucille Mona Ling, is a poet and visual artist from Berlin, currently based in Glasgow. Her poetry has appeared in the Dark Horse, Gutter, and Middleground Magazine. Her poem, Historic Recurrence, has been included in the Scottish Poetry Library's Anthology of Best Scottish Poems of 2021. She is part of St Mungo Mirrorball's Verse Apprenticeship Scheme, Clydebuilt 14-2021, mentored by J.L. Williams. Welcome.
Hello. So the first poem I'm going to read is about the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, and he's famous for his dream-reality paradox, about dreaming about being a butterfly and then waking up and not knowing whether he was the butterfly, dreaming about being a human, or a human dreaming about being a butterfly. It's called Oneiromancy, Letter to Zhuangzi. Before I was born, I was a butterfly. In his dreams, in her cupped hands, as she slept next to the flowers of daydream garden, tendrils around her wings, wrists wandering wistfully across the woven linen, with softest liquid lamentations for the yellow hue who escaped her buttercup perennial. The truth is, she neglected the seeds, grew in love instead with ancient, manic dreamer, who polyonymous, unable to pinpoint his fluttering, funambulating from one side to the other, escaped into exposed transformations of younger truths, wrapped in contagious conflation and touch of flesh, conceived, part human, part butterfly. And the second poem is called Ancestry. A cyst bloated, dynamic, nameless ancestry rests in my body undetected like a freckle on my back. I dream of Anatolia, never having been there. The tornado in my mouth, which you call tongue, toils around the stem of the Indo-European language, shaken like the apple tree by the earthquake of time, through the fissures in my iris, examining the microanatomy. I see it is all the same, coiling, intertwining, mingling proteins, composing nature's patterns. The next one is kind of wordplay between the phonetic similarities of Chinese and English. It's called waiting. Waiting looks almost Chinese, but I don't know what it means. Because I never learned it, I rewrite my narrative because he never taught it to me. So I use Google to understand. Way, outside, in addition, foreign, external. Way, askew, at a crooked angle, devious, to lie on one side. Way, to sprain one's ankle. Way, to sprain one's ankle. How about spraining one's mind? Ting, try to hear, to sound, music. Ting, to speak. Ting shuo, I listen. I continue to listen to you, but you wouldn't know because I'm nothing to you. Everything happens in between the embrace, redundant, like an unsent message, thinking, waiting, to be. The next poem is called Silence. Silence. Silence nests in my cells. Silent cells turn into mycelium. A web entraps, endangers temporary words. A network that diffuses, a porous knowledge. Hunting dream fears, undress in unicolor, dance with unicorns through temples of words, each symbol an underexpressed emotion. My output shrinks to the size of a lash, sharing its morphology with a wish, produced in waiting. In seasons, in sea insomnia, everything is soaking, so aching. Bedsheet waves become oceanic confetti. In the city, it is raining, doubtless droplets. Turn your umbrella inside out as a sun greeting gesture. Gather liquid dreams for future plants so that we can grow gentle oxygen for our kisses. This is a sequence of 2 poems, and they're called counter poems. Number 1. Sometimes you appear as an iron in my dreams, a hot weight pressing on my fabricated mind. You denaturate the delicate polyillusions of my proteins. What are the basic structures embedded behind my pores? My finger escapes me to express where I want to go. Follow the undetermined, undermined mind music of procreation concealed in every instructional design. a ring of connectivity. Number 2, Iron Age kiss between materials of attachment is the water-like adhesion structure of us. A couplet of tears. Here's the basic intonation of our a-relationality. A decade escapes through parallels as the inheritance of code cascades. I write counterpoems to embody my anger, the codified ode of an unextended family. Read my poem as an instruction manual on how to retrieve from my words the nectar of negligence. And the last one I'm going to read is also from a sequence, and it's called Of Rooms and Winds. Switch on the lamp in the room of an old thought. The walls are appealing in exaggeration. You are trying to separate yourself from infancy colors layered on neural plaster. The latest room of thought is made of leftovers. Solving yourself becomes an imperative in the resolute anti-antique eye conservation phase. You are now vanning into crescent contentness in symbiosis with the sun. The intervention of creeping particles filling your novel space with gentle light water, bubbles surviving the inhaling wind. Intervent in between winds. Invent in winds of newfound notions. Venture with the sure winds towards the eventual you. You inhabit the consoling cradle of overlapping O's in a room found between all embraces. Thank you.
Our next poet will be Nichelle Santagata. She's a prose poetry, non-fiction, fiction writer, hip-hop and contemporary dance movement artist, photographer, spoken word sound artist, radio show host, music and sound art selector, filmmaker, videographer, and illustrator from so-called Arizona, United States. She is currently based in Scotland, pursuing her PhD in sociology, focusing on Black women's mental health and healing while utilizing arts-based methods and autoethnography. Nichelle has shared her works across the globe with some places such as Push the Boat Out, Edinburgh's International Poetry Festival, Govan Hill International Festival, BBC Words First, Noi Riki, and Scottish Mental Health Arts Festival.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nichelle Santagata, and I'm going to be doing a couple of pieces about the topic of home and journey. It's a big topic of my life because I'm always searching for what home is to me. And I know everyone's definition of home could be very different, depending on like who they are, where they come from, but also where they travel in life, physically, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well. But I also think about home in the sense of a physical place, but also like a house, but also like an environment, and how you can also have a home within yourself, but also home within other people at the same time. I've had many homes. I've lived in 5 different countries and multiple states and different cities, and I'm always looking for a different home at different stages and shifts in life. And sometimes a home works at different times, and sometimes it doesn't. It just depends, how I'm, moving and progressing in life. So a couple of pieces. So I'm going to maybe do 2, maybe 3 if I have enough time. But let's see here. So also, I wanted to say this is my 2-year anniversary of being in Scotland. So thank you, Scotland, for being my home right now, currently. And thank you for everyone being part of this as well. But ultimately, like when I talk about home and journey, it's like a combination of heartache and happiness, because there's multiple emotions and everything going on inside of me because I'm a human. We're complex creatures. So one of my first pieces I'll do here, it has to do with when I left Arizona to go live in England for my master's in my 5th year of uni. And for those who don't know, so I'm not a big fan of Arizona, where I'm from, just because it doesn't help me thrive and grow and be who I want to really be in life. So it's a home, but it's like a past home, I like to say. And every time I have to like leave a certain country or state, I always have to go back home to Arizona, to so-called Arizona, and like wait for a visa and like figure out my life and everything like that. So this first piece is called Homecoming, in quotations. The first time I had to leave England because it wasn't working with my uni and everything. And I had to come back to Arizona, and I'm from the desert part of the Arizona, so this will be talking about the desert of Arizona. So Homecoming. When I arrived back in the desert of Arizona, I was constantly mentally distraught, sobbing, wanting to gouge out my own eyes. It's not that simple for me to just come back because it honestly takes a lot of strength and anxiety fighting. I continue to seek out for a sense of real home and liking my true self, even more while I'm away from this past home and into my new homes. I want to be away from this desert. I'm not the same person as I was when I left my old home. I never will be the same. An inner part of me is screaming at the top of her lungs when returning to this childhood memories, screaming at the fact of feeling so misunderstood in all my changes. Not the fact that my hair got longer or my skin got tanner. No, it's not that. It's that my mind has been redefined. My dreams have mostly stayed the same, but it's the fact that these pathways and me reaching towards these dreams, they've shifted heavily. They've been reshaped. It's the way I view the world and the people in it that has altered, as well as how I view a difference in what is truly important and what is trivial in my life now. It's a feeling of desiring for people to know I'm still me, I am, but with an evolved spirit. Sometimes it's extremely difficult to communicate such a change about how the brain works differently and feeling like I don't fit in even more every time I return to this past environment. I feel extremely angry. I'm pissed off, honestly, because it's like trying to speak a foreign language in order for me to communicate this side of leaving home. It seems frustrating no matter where I go, but relieving knowing that there are others out there who truly are empathetic and they understand being at their previous homes. And they're also speaking the same language as me. No, not English. No, not Espanol. No, not Italiano. No, it's the language of knowing what it feels like to leave and to progress, to mature, to make mistakes, to learn, unlearn, and to overall go through these trials and tribulations of being a different type of person. It's truly different for me. It's nothing but nostalgia. Sometimes nostalgia can be harmful because it sometimes makes me believe like I should be back here for a split second. And then I realize before I even land, oh gosh, no, I don't want to be here. It's a feeling that I want to belong there and I keep trying to make it work, but I don't belong in Arizona and I haven't for a long while. It's an inner feeling of realization that no matter what anyone says, I truly don't belong here. Many say there's no place like home, but what is home for some is not the same for me. I feel even more lost coming back to Arizona than I do living and immersing myself in a new, faraway place. It's multifaceted, bittersweet, but mostly bitter, eating at my soul when I'm here at this old home. This old home is not exactly the same, and I've especially changed. One of the homes I've progressed in is one I will continue to leave right as I arrive. It's not a home to me anymore deep down. I always try to see the beauty everywhere I go, but I can't for this, not this land, not anymore. This land leaves me with more dust-filled sunglasses as I stare up into the southwestern sun. Thank you. But yeah, so like I said, like I have to go back to Arizona like every single time like I've left England. I used to live in Aotearoa, which is so-called New Zealand, and I lived in Naarm, which is so-called Melbourne, Australia, as well. So it's like every time I like went to different places, I had to always like come back. Am I okay for time? Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so and then so that was when I left England. I had to come back to Arizona, and then I was like, oh, where can I go next? And then I filed a visa to like go to New Zealand, so-called Australia at different times. This is just like putting everything together. There's so much more to it from the journey in different homes and stuff. But so I'll go into this different piece here, and this is I wrote this between like living in Aotearoa and Naarm, and this one's called Peafowl and Constant Flight. It's a bit of like prose poetry, nonfiction, and fiction put together. I don't know what to call some of my work, but it's just mixed together. So Peafowl and Constant Flight. This way, That way. Up, down, but please don't turn around. The constant rushing back and forth between uncharted lands never ends for Miss Peafowl. Unlike any other peafowl, she's developed a long train of feathers and uses them to migrate every new year to warmer climates to save her audacious soul from becoming numb. She spreads her colorful blue, green, and copper-feathered wings remarkably wide before each takeoff into the morning sky. When Miss Peafowl takes flight, winds can become heavy and tumultuous, which cause many of her feathers to be ripped out from her pores, scattering along explored lands, getting stuck in tall trees, and along the 7 seas. Her landings can go one of 2 ways, either with soft steps or rough foot rotations on the pavement, leaving skin burns along her pores. Between flights, Miss Peafowl sometimes hides from all communication to feel less of a burden on others with her heavy, heavy emotions. She slinks away to a world of trembling thoughts, which turns into an isolated, silent island to avoid all those who want to peer up at her feathers. While hiding away, Miss Peafowl tends to her bald pores, where bright feathers once stood proud. She sweeps over the nakedness with longer intact feathers to hide her vulnerability from the world. And time frightens her because it takes an unknown length of months to grow each feather back. But it is the chirps and chimes fluttering in each day to remind Miss Peafowl that she is never alone while tending to her wounds. Fellow peafowl and peacocks go out to help retrieve every fallen feather and douse her wounded pores with love while blowing soft kisses along her. She remembers that through the rush of all the flights, love and loneliness is a constant battle of acceptance. So that's that one, yeah. And then, thank you. I'll do one quick one left. And this one, so those ones are about like journeying to like physical places and everything. But I mean, they all have to do with physical places, but this one is being in a physical place. This one is more going into like moving to Scotland now. I wrote this one here. And it's about being in Scotland, but also like being present in my own like home of my body in a very different way. Just being in this different environment, I've shifted, like looking at my own home within myself. So this one is called, sorry, you guys are like seeing my like nose hit this, sorry, that probably looks weird, sorry. This one's called Mirror Movements. I've been dancing to my own love songs with myself in front of the mirror each day. I dance as if I'm 2 lovers within myself, one lover in the past and one lover in the present. Both of me dance around each other endlessly, trying to make sense of my connections and disconnections. I'm meeting and leaving myself at different stages of my life. I see my entire journey in the mirror. I see the severs, and I see the ceilings that are beyond skin deep. I continue to embrace my new tempo with whichever way I flow. So I stare at myself in the mirror, and I remember to keep loving myself and keep moving myself each day. So that's me. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you. I know there's so much in there that's going to resonate with lots of people in this room. So our next poet tonight is Molefi Nong, is a Scottish African writer, musician, and artist. The Wordsmith is founder of Itsintu Seto, a non-profit company with the objective to encourage new forms of artistic expression and cross-culture engagement. Nong made his international debut as a spoken word artist and singer. He believes in the diversification of skills in order to gain competitive advantage within the arts and crafts space.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molefe. I'm from South Africa. So I can't explain my poems. I can't like the ladies. I feel like a king today. I'm the only gentleman around these ladies. So my first piece is about hip-hop, how I feel about hip-hop. Erica, I do see Lauren wear her heels and run away from hip-hop. I then realized hip-hop has lost its rapping gift. Real niggas no longer have a place. Tupac. It's no longer Biggie, but so small. We auto the tune even when it's out of tune. It pains me how we bust the rhyme even when it's out of line. Moment of workless, let's bow. Wow. Moment of workness, let's bow. Wow. I come double HP, I'm typing, I'm a pro kid. Listen, I'm a pro with verbs, I kill it. We no longer cry on cry-ons to find color. Kanye. Hip hop is too westernized. Sometimes I just want to slam Shady and wake him up. I just want to string hip hop with 2 chains. Thank you. The second piece is a love piece. It's a fusion of Zulu and English. So in South Africa, we have different tribes, ne? Yeah, so Tswana, Zulu, Venda, so on and so on. So I am Tswana, so I was trying to write Zulu. Yeah, so if any Zulu person is here, forgive me. I'm trying. Yeah. Intombazana eyomzulu. Ngithe ngiyazula kodwa ngimthanda kakhulu. Ngatshela umkhulu umakhulu abaphansi bavuma ngimfuna akhulelwe. Tell her she's my Cinderella and I'm the only shoe that will fit. See, me and her, I like Timon and Pumbaa. When we are together, Akuna Matata. What wonderful days we had. Percussive, my heart beats to the melody of your beauty. Too pent up to speak, not even a speech therapy could help. So perceptible, your beauty fools my eye to identify and become a servitor. But little by little, I fall into false costumes of not being good enough. But being incoherent as I am, I don't understand or be understood how outstanding I am. I guess I'm not standing at all. It's just gravity playing games. It's just gravity pulling my leg. See, global woman between her legs, her water broke. There was rainbow shooting colors between her thighs. Her violins in my strings. I play her body organs, but not to be rude. But sometimes I want to kiss you. I want to kiss you with eyes opened. Tired of this blind date when our eyes freeze. Time steady still like I see. I want to eye my eye into your eye so we create a better eyesight in this love scene. Sin made of sin. So how sinful can sin be in this love scene? See, I wanna kiss you with the eyes opened. Weird. Am I still okay? Okay. Hey. Please stop me when I get carried away. Ne? The spirit of poetry. So I can't explain. I wish I was like you guys when you can explain a poem. To say, hey, when I wrote this poem, this was happening, and this is, hey, with me, hey, these poems come, and I just write. See, my mother was deaf. My daddy was blind. So I asked them how they met. Daddy said you can smell your kind. While mommy was waving sign language into daddy's ear, sight, I was born. So for understanding, they took me to a doctor. Doctor find me healing. Now because of me, grandpa has headache himself. He's too old to understand what's going on in my head. See, every time I sign into this sick nature, this appears, reappears, and disappears. Doctor said, son, sit down. Doctor said, son, sit down. Don't shine. You are infected. You have PID. It's poetry infected disease. What it does is, in the midst of the brainstorm, your mind map gets lost. That's when it happens that you speak to us and the deceased in the same time. I then asked doctor, am I full of madness? He said, yes, I will find you a madness. The madness came. She grabbed me by my 2 grapes. Now I'm spitting wine. It's a sober, intoxicated mind inside the vodka. In the womb, I lived my future and my present still unwrapped for the death day where the MCs. What I write stands right for the rights of my visible, transparent soul, seeking for part-time shelter, trapped in the gallery of alpha, beds with words, gallery named faculty of consciousness, present in the center of my nervous system, concatenation of words compulging me to poems, exposing the inner cortex of my spiritual element. It's like a hex. It is so sad. What did I say? What did I just say? Features of my past that is not yet past, life after, my future's future. Vocally sacred emotions in my Abdullah and my oblongata, vocally pushing them out, gravitates the echo in this room, connecting thoughts to creating one being, named after art. Let me push it hard. Emotions being the compass, directing moves to swing words into performance. See, she grabbed me by my 2 grapes, now I'm spitting wine. Weird. Okay, last one. From the horizon, when Mother Nature took her sun away from the moon, separating morn and noon, evening everyone. It was relatively dark when we met, the spark. The sun about to set, might as well call it a night. She was not wearing this mask we call makeup. Face to face, she took me to another phase. I then picked up a line, aligned it to her head and her heart, and then hit her hard but bloody Ned. She read my game well. She could even read between the lines. Weird.
Okay, I'd love to introduce our next poet. Inga Dale is a spoken word artist from Cape Town, South Africa. She has performed at various events, including So Far Sounds and the Heart and Home event by the Edinburgh International Festival. Inga's writing is an insight into how she sees the world and the way she navigates through various societal challenges and barriers.
Hi, everybody. So the first poem is for Black History Month. So I wrote it about a year ago, and it required a lot of self-reflection and research and really understanding my Black identity and being proud of that. And this is called The Black Identity. A long, long road. But look how far we've come. The dreams of our ancestors materialized in our realities now. Freedom, the choice to be, realization of our identity built on resilience, consistency, taking responsibility for our future. Because our history was disrupted, shaped and explained through slavery and oppression. But beyond that are the ancient mysteries of humans, civilizations and settlements which flourished, so don't be discouraged. Colonialism did not give us knowledge. Before, we were doctors, scientists, architects responsible for building Black empires, not savages, lost tribes needing salvation and direction. Without interference, there would have been progression. Yes, we have a long way to go, but let's acknowledge how far we've come, overcoming stereotypes to be seen in a light that rightly represents us. Breaking barriers of racism, colorism, patriarchy, misogyny, and most particularly the self-doubt to flourish in a system designed to keep us out. we will stand tall. Tall, prevalent and powerful like Victoria Falls. Taller than the statues reminding us of our Black history that shouldn't have been. Taller than any limitations attached to our color of our skin. Taller than any limitations we may feel within. Thank you. So, on the topic of home, I curated an event for the Edinburgh International Festival, and it was called Heart and Home. And it was all about, you know, how people experience living in Edinburgh, coming from different parts of the world. And this poem is called Sauteing Onions, because I really had to think about what home means to me. And when I think of home, I think of my mom and her cooking. Like, in my household, you're gonna have good food. That's for sure. Like, if you come to my home, you're gonna have some good food. So I just thought of my childhood growing up, and every time I would smell sauteing onions, I would think of, oh, I wonder what my mom's cooking. And so I really like connect my mother's cooking with home. So, with all that being said, this is called Sauteing Onions. I can almost smell the scent of sauteing onions filling the air. My eager stomach starts to imagine what is being prepared. Will it be beef, chicken, or perhaps a stew? I run down to the kitchen to get a sneak preview. My mother stands at the stove, not needing to follow any recipe, but the meat, spices, and vegetables seem to combine together incredibly, and soon after, you will hear the dinner call. Come along. The sounds of plates and cutlery being laid down together, making the perfect song. My grandmother sits at the head of the table and prays a blessing over our food, each mouthful satisfying our hunger, our bodies feeling renewed. Curious how onions remind me of home. The smell awakening memories, that feeling of never being alone. The kitchen table. The kitchen table that witnessed my growth, the formation of my identity, watching as I express my thoughts, my voice gaining its independence. My mother's house, the walls etched with memories of souls that are no longer there. The couches and stools provided the seats for the narrative shared. Blessed I am to have had that sanctuary. Blessed I am to have had those memories of my mother sauteing onions, the scent filling the air, my eager stomach imagining what is being prepared. Thank you. This is just going to be something I'm going to read because I haven't had time to memorize it. It's just something I wrote after watching a documentary on South Africa and the areas where a lot of my family grew up in, and it has issues with gangsterism and crime. And I just reflected on being here and being in the position that I am in away from that. So that's just how I try to understand what I was thinking. Feeling a bit guilty because my life is at relative peace. I don't come home to find bodies laying on the street. Rooibos tea to warm me up on this cold winter night, knowing someone who is sleeping rough may lose their life. I thank God for the blessings bestowed upon me. The Holy Spirit behind my success is really a testimony. Yet, when I want to celebrate, I'm reminded of people struggling, like parents who can't send their children to get a decent education, doing the best that they can, willing to sacrifice because opportunities and stepping stones come at a price. Good schools and universities I accessed because of my positionality in a country whose resources are scattered. Inequality can make you feel like you're a nobody. So pride and belonging can be found in networks of violence. So pride and belonging can be found in networks of violence which plagues communities, because joining a gang is as close as you get to an opportunity. And the cycle of socioeconomic deprivation will continue to perpetuate. Not enough people willing to lend a helping hand, advocate, but rather gravitate to a lifestyle which completely disassociates them from reality. We can't judge each other for what we decide to choose, because in this life, there aren't any cues to tell you which path leads to the best road, which path will give you the lightest load. The most simple thing I'm grateful for is that I can walk through my front door, shut the world behind me, and temporarily leave it behind, knowing that I have space and comfort to ease my mind. Thank you. Okay, and this will be my last one. I always feel like it's fitting to do this poem because this is the first poem I ever performed in Cape Town, which was like over 10 years ago. And it's very near and dear to my heart, so I always have to perform this poem. It's called A Confused Reality. The world we live in is trapped in confusion. Different mindsets creating their own illusions. Happiness is not felt by all on this earth because evil leaves his presence and then he steals our worth. Little babies born into a world of hate, and society shapes what their life will dictate. I close my eyes and think for a second. I reckon the hate will continue to perpetuate because love does not seem to translate. Why does change seem so far? This path we're all walking is bizarre. People don't stop to smile. Hating each other seems to be the new style. I pray for people to change their views, no matter what life has put them through. To be on this earth is a blessing, and love, peace, and hope is all I'm expressing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, that was so lovely. I felt like I could smell sauteing onions as well for a bit there. Now, this is our final poet of today. I'd like to welcome Cynthia Miller, is a Malaysian-American poet and Verve Poetry Festival co-founder. Her debut collection, Honorifics, won an Eric Gregory, was awarded Best First Collection at the Laurel Prize, and was shortlisted for the Seamus Heaney Prize and the Forward Prize.
Thanks so much, everyone, and thanks, Roshni, for inviting us to speak. I'm going to read a few poems from Honorifics, which was written largely during lockdown. So a lot of these poems they're about lockdown, but they're also about longing and home and belonging and family. Social distancing. It was the epoch of transmutation. Some evenings the neighbors turned into jaguars and dragged their dinner up into the trees. You could touch anything you wanted and watch it change. A bench became a hammerhead shark. Confetti became slices of wet ham. A postbox, a baby grand piano. Where town hall once stood now was a giant baklava oozing honey. Someone turned their arm into long tentacles of squirming fingers and went trawling, terrorizing the streets by grasping everything in reach. We were afraid to venture out of our homes. Everything became a record of what we touched or hadn't, where our hands lingered or didn't, how much distance we could afford to put between ourselves and others, what it cost us, what it didn't. I became very obsessed with Greek mythology and using myths as a way of understanding current reality and that very, very strange period of lockdown. So this is Eurydice video calls her lover in lockdown. Seeing each other like this doesn't count. We aren't breaking any divine rules. Look all you want. Everyone here is on a long-distance call, speaking to someone already slipping out of memory. O is showing me a tiny succulent he thought was a goner. His hands are gorgeous. A suggestion of palm on screen, holding a red flower on a leggy plant, surging towards light. One etiolated thing looking at another. I want you to hang up. Defy the gods. Touch me. I'm downright ravenous. You think it's bad up there? Baby, ghosts just pass through each other. Yearning, yearning, yearning. I want you to carry me out of here. Bridal style or fireman lift. I'm not picky. I'm waiting for the all clear. Someone to shout, Ollie, Ollie, oxen free. Won't you come out, Eurydice? I'm not sure what I want more. Certainty, or to finally set down this longing. There have been so many lovely poems today about language and distance. I don't typically read this one out, but I was really interrogating my relationship to my mother's culture. I was born in Malaysia, and how I don't really speak her mother tongue, so that sense of distance and closeness is one that's always really troubled me. There is no specific word in English for. There is no specific word in English for father's younger's brother's wife, the way there is a Hokkien honorific for exactly this kinship. What self-respecting niece would dare say her first name like that? And who did we think we were? American? No mother tongue to call upon to gauge closeness and distance, one tongue for seeing lightning and another for counting thunder. No word in English for the common local knowledge that rain always stops for temple processions like this one, twining through town, rollicking dragons chasing suns, neon lions chasing dragons, Guanyin girls bowing deeply to a shop house altar, and boys hightailing it out of there with a dragon fruit plucked from the offering table. Processions gumming up traffic in open defiance of the wet season. No word in English for the name of the Tua Pek Kong temple deity we were honoring with our attention. All that halting shame slowly cranking through my body, winched open like a stuck car window, long held off rain, waiting for small gods to pass through. I think I'll read two short ones. Continuing that theme of gods and goddesses and deities. This is Moon Goddess Guzzle. A man walks into the forest for the last time. The air smells portentous, like wet dog. He moons over me, dumbstruck. In paintings, I'm always startled and doe-shy, a naked slip of crescent moon. Now dryads are catcalling in the trees. No, they're whistling his deer hounds to their dinner. Under this petty moon, honey burns, mint curdles. I'm one long nettle scream. Sorry for the abject chaos, I needed the attention. Full moon craziness is licking lightning or unzipping your sternum to find a black bear baying. Good moon goddesses aren't meant to wear shorts under dresses, shed antlers, talk back to the dark. I'm moonlighting under one of my lesser names these days. Cynthia, what quickens in the night? Blood, hunger, a hunter's moon. Do I have time for one more? Okay, cool. I don't really have any short poems. Let's see if I can find one. I'll read the last poem in the book. So I try and Skype my family or call my family every weekend. And during lockdown, I started getting these series of voicemails from my mother. So this poem is entirely based on true stories. Voicemails from my mother. An old story, one you know. Once a snake ate my cat, so my second brother killed it and made snake ball soup for the whole family. Maybe next time our table will be bigger. Next time a snake big enough to feed the street. Remember I taught you which palms to drink from, how to pinch thin moons of dough around the filling. I'm running out of time to tell you everything. I can't, for the life of me, remember what I called to say. Don't be stupid. No one died of homesickness. What a waste a one-way ticket would be. Sayang, I'm sorry if I woke you up. Sayang, everything here tastes different. Missy brought her youngest daughter to lunch today. You remember Isabel, the one at Yale? And she reminded me of you. I thought I'd spend a year here, but fruit trees take a year to yield anything. I'm going out to the field today. The light is doing something new, and it's time for planting. Sayang, everything that's dead is just fertilizer. All I need, I can carry in my hands. I liked me best when I chose to leave, what I took with me, who I left, there at the border, squinting a little, raising a hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. They're really gorgeous, moving poems. And thank you so much to all our poets tonight. That's all the poets we have. Please join me in one last round of applause for everyone.